Repeat after me. Money is easy. Wealth is possible for me. Yep, I'm Dr. Latifat. I'm the host of the Money Fit MD show. This is where we talk about all things money and mindset and how you can learn how to do money and wealth your way. Subscribe, watch, learn, take action. You've got this.
All right, everybody. I am back with another fabulous guest for you guys. Remember, this is part of our series on how to be prepped for any economic downturn. And the person I have right here in front of me, or I don't know, beside me or whatever, is an amazing woman physician. She is someone that I've had the opportunity of crossing paths with multiple times. However, I haven't really had time to sit down and chat with her. So when I was thinking, who do I want to share with my humans? Who do I want to share wisdom to the diverse audience that I have? I was like, she has to be on. So I reached out to her. And if you're listening on the podcast, she's literally in her car right now. So I am just really grateful that she's taking the time to share with you guys. And before I go any further, I want to say welcome, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Ali.
Thank you so much. I'm a huge fan. I love interacting with you. I know we've interacted so many times through Facebook, and I love the goals that you have set to create value in a woman's life. Thank you so much for everything you do. And honestly, I'm honored to be here. So thank you. And yes, I had a bunch of errands to run today, so I'm sitting in my car while we chit chat.
I love it. And you know what I love about this? I love that people have this idea that it has to be perfect. When you're successful, that means you're like, you know, just people have all those ridiculous ideas. And I'm like, there are times when I've done podcasts in my car. I've done interviews where my kids are like propped in front of TV. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it can be done. So thank you for being a real life
Yeah,
example of getting it
yeah,
done
of course.
imperfectly, perfectly.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about you for our audience that may not know you? Who are you, and why do I
Yeah.
believe that they should hear what you have to say?
Yes. So my name is Saima. I am a neurologist by training. I live in New Jersey and I have three little kids. I finished my training, this was residency and fellowship about 6 years ago at the end of 2016. And since then, I've been mostly working part-time, trying to keep my expenses low and also investing at the same time because I feel like the biggest value that we have in this world is our time and really choosing to spend our time intentionally versus just being hamsters on the wheel and running around and working all the time and not really having any time to breathe. So I love being able to do that. And I feel like just having some knowledge about money, about finances, makes that so much easier to accomplish because most of the time we're just, even when we have money, people who have money and they're pretty well off, they're worried about not having enough always, and they're not at peace. So I feel like once you know what money is, how to invest, how to just sit back and relax, it helps with the overall goals in life.
I love it. I love it. And I know
Yeah.
that you have a podcast that speaks specifically to Muslim women physicians or
Yeah.
primarily women. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Yes. So my podcast is called Wealthy Muslim Woman, and it's for everybody. But I wanted to target it to Muslim women because I wanted to talk about specific topics that they are concerned about, like which investments are more ethical. What is more allowed by religion. You don't want to invest in alcohol companies or different things. So I wanted to talk about those topics as well. So I called it Wealthy Muslim Woman, but of course anybody can listen in and chime in.
I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, my
Yeah.
podcast is Money Fit MD. It's for women
Yeah.
physicians, and I get messages from men, from non-physician men. I've gotten messages from
Yeah.
pastors. Like, yes, the point is we speak to who we want to speak with, but there's so
Yeah.
many people that can also learn from that. So I'm
Yes.
definitely glad that you have the space you've created. I'm glad that you're educating because I do believe it's important for all of us to have money. And one of the issues that prevents us from getting into money is the fear of doing things the wrong way. And
Hmm.
I would imagine that as a woman physician that is Muslim, you may be concerned about, and even anybody of any religion or
Right.
faith may be concerned about what they're investing in. And to have someone of their faith that it's like, well, this is what the Quran says, this is what
Yeah.
our word says, and this is my interpretation based on my wisdom, and be able to share that so they can be empowered to make their own decisions. I think that's
Right.
fabulous.
Thank you.
So now
Yeah.
let's talk about what you are doing. And what I've been telling my, for those well, you guys were not here when I'm talking before we press record, but I literally say, if your younger sister was sitting in front of you and you're like, hey, girl, listen, the economy is probably going to change. It's already changing. These are the stuff you need to do to get your money-ish together. So talk to us.
Yeah.
How are you and how would you want your sister to be prepped for an economic downturn?
So honestly, I would want them to be as prepared for any turn. So whether the market is going up, whether the market is going down, you need to have certain rules set and you need to follow them. And you really don't need to follow the noise on the TV. A lot of times, these people are out there to scare you and push you into making decisions about companies, like this company is going to go up, this company is going to go down. The real truth is nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody can predict it. There's not a single human being on the planet who can tell you if we are going to go into a downturn, how low it's going to go, how long it's going to last, or the opposite. Whether a company is going to do very well, how long it's going to be great for. Either way. So the best we can do is look at what the history has shown and try to follow that. So the market is going to go up at times and the market is going to go down at times. And you need to set basic rules. What percentage are you comfortable investing in the stock market? And a lot of that may depend on your age. If you're younger, you should be investing more and having little in safer type of investments, which are sometimes considered bonds and other investments. But other than that, you don't have to listen to the news and you don't have to change anything. So for me, I haven't done anything different. I'm doing everything that was there before. A lot of times I go into the office and my colleagues are freaking out and the market crashing. What should we be doing? And if you're close to retirement age, then it's the same rules that you need to have a certain amount set into safer investments. But the rest, you just leave it and you don't worry about it. And I think this is very important, especially for women, because there have been a bunch of studies done on whose investment does better, right? So I think one was from Fidelity, and they said the best accounts were for those people who were dead because they were not changing. They were not buying and selling all the time based on what the economy was doing or based on what the news was saying. It was just left alone, and that money grew the most. And same thing, women actually are better investors over the long term because we don't go with the hype. We're not going to buy and sell because what somebody else tells us. We're going to read and we're going to make a decision and we're just going to go with that. Whereas men tend to freak out more and buy and sell more, and their investments do a little bit worse than women. So you don't have to do anything different.
So you are not doing anything different when it comes to your investments. Make a decision before the emergency happens. Set it in. Quiet down the noise. I am going to ask you a question. So if you're invested in the stock market, if you're invested in things, the prices are going to go up and down. In the event of a downturn, the value of things are probably going to go down. What advice do you have for yourself or your sister that doesn't even know you're related but is listening to you right now? Your sister from another mister.
Yes. So really, you just need to have an emergency fund set up for you, right? So whatever you feel comfortable with, whether it's 3 months of expenses, whether it's 6 months of expenses, some people feel more comfortable with a year worth of expenses that they want to have as liquid available. So this could be cash available to you in your checking account, in your savings account, which is safe. And the rest you are investing in. Let's say you pick stock market. There's many forms of investment. So stock market is one of them, real estate, so many other things. The rest that's invested, yes, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. I personally don't even look at my accounts that often. Honestly, it's like maybe every couple of months, I like to go and pop in and see what's happening. But otherwise, I don't go in every day or every week to see, the price is up or the price is down, because you really don't lose money when just because the market is down, right? That you lose money when you buy something at a high value and you sell it at low value. That's when you lose money. But if the market is down and you're not selling, then you haven't really lost money. The value has gone down, but most likely the market has been shown over hundreds of years, it turns back and it goes even higher than it's been previously. So at some point that value will go up and you don't have to sell today. So that means you haven't really lost today. Most likely it'll gain value and you'll make money over the long run. So don't even look at it if you don't have to.
Don't look at it unless you have to. And that is based on the assumption that you're diversified and that you're not buying individual stocks. Because if you buy individual stock of one market, of one, company, and that company does go to the ground, you will lose money. However, if you're diversified, the whole point of that is, so we're talking about things like index funds, mutual funds, not putting all of your eggs in one basket. Even if it comes to real estate, not putting all of your eggs in one basket. If all your apartments are on one street, on one zip code in the same city, if that city goes down and crashes, you may have trouble with your tenant, versus if you're invested in multiple different cities, in different classes, long-term, short-term, middle term, like midterm, like just diversifying is the key. As long as you're diversified, it gives you a buffer, right? And it's funny because I tell people that over the last 2 years, you just got to stay humble, people. Stay humble. Like, people got extremely cocky. When the market is great, everybody looks like a winner. People are buying individual stocks, talking about how they gained all this money in like a second. I'm just like, I'm going to sit down here with my boring, automated, diversified index fund, and I'm going to be looking at y'all. Yes, you have room for more gains, but you also have room for deeper losses as well. So what do you want to add to that?
Exactly. That's exactly what I teach, that the money that should be going into individual stocks, it's really the money that you are okay with losing. If tomorrow that company goes bankrupt, then that's not going to affect you overall. So if you do want to take those chances, it's okay. It's your money. You are allowed to spend where you want. However, you have to be comfortable with losing it all. And why buy one company? Why buy two companies when now we do have the options of ETFs, mutual funds, which are very low expense ratios, really no trading fees that are being offered by these amazing brokerage firms that are pretty safe. So why bet on one or two companies when you could really bet on the whole economy? Not only in the US, you could bet on the US economy, or you could buy a national fund and buy the top companies in the whole world. So if one or two companies go out of business, you're still in the game. There'll be other companies. So like the example of early 2000s, when all we knew was AOL and Yahoo, and we thought those were going to be the big companies. And nobody knew Google, and nobody thought Amazon was going to be the next big thing. But people lost a lot of money because of those things. And today we AOL is gone, Yahoo's not doing great, and all the companies we have today are like Tesla, Amazon, Facebook. None of these were really there back then. So really not betting on individual company. Warren Buffett is the one person who's done really, really, really well. And if you look at his lifestyle, all he does is he goes into his office at 9 o'clock in the morning and he's valuing these companies and reading up on these books. And that's his full-time job. An average person can't do that. We can't sit in an office and be evaluating each company all day, every day. We have kids, we have jobs, we have other lives. So, it's not possible for us to do that.
And still, Warren Buffett, what does he recommend?
Index funds, yes.
Index funds. Right?
Yes.
And the thing is, I always tell people is there's no one size fits all. But there's benefit to automating a part of your life. When you automate a part of your life, it takes the human psychology out of it. So if I want to go to the store, if I buy a shirt for $20 today, if I go there tomorrow and it's $25, I'm going to go, oh. If I go there the next day and it's like $15, I may want to buy a lot more of it, right? But the thing is, if I want a steady plan, I just pre-automate that this shirt be bought every week. So whether it's down, whether it's up, a shirt is bought, and I don't have to think about it. I don't have to make decisions about it. I don't have to let my human fears and anxiety get in the way. And that is why it's important to use automation as a way of just automatically say, I want whatever, even all you have is $100. If all you have is like $5,000, if all you have is 20, like whatever it is, you can say, I want this to be bought every single week or every single month. And then when you have time, you can go fancy on top of that, right? So if you have index funds, doesn't mean you cannot buy individual stock if you choose to play. Doesn't mean you cannot do other stuff if you choose to play, but at least let the main thing be the main thing in the background. So come rain, come shine, come depression, come everything, come downturn, you know that you're buying. And that's something you don't have to think about.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly my philosophy as well. And automation, like those are gifts we have today because of internet. You can really go into your account and say, hey, this, couple of $100 every week or every month, I wanted to go and buy this fund. And it does everything for you. You don't even have to pay attention. You don't have to do anything. And retirement savings, everything is just automated. And you just have to make the decisions in the beginning and then just go with the flow.
Yep. Curious, what are some resources that you recommend for your women, especially if they want to be more conscious about where their money is going into? And for some people, maybe like, I don't want to pay for things that are invested in guns or prison or alcohol. Like different people have different philosophies. What are some resources that you share with your women that our folks can live with today?
Yeah, so coming from, so there are the socially responsible funds that are offered by pretty much all major brokerage funds. Vanguard has a socially responsible fund. Then Fidelity has one too. A lot of major companies do. There are also brokerage firms that are more targeted for Islamic standpoint. So they're called Sharia compliant brokerage firms. And they're in the US, Canada, all the modern worlds, and they create a mutual fund after investigating the companies and make sure that they're ethical and they're doing everything. If you look at the general perspective, so the top 500 companies is the S&P 500 index fund. Those companies are very well vetted by the US, by the whole economy. So they have to go through extensive process to be vetted, and the amount of money that they're making, and when they get to when they're put on the stock market. And a lot of them are basically technology companies, so none of them are really dealing with guns, alcohol, other things. So the majority of the companies, so within S&P 500 index fund, majority of the companies that make it up are actually Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, really top 5-6 companies, and all of them are big tech companies. So they're not dealing with a lot of unethical things and very well vetted. So I do try to point that out. But for people who absolutely do not feel comfortable with that, then they do have the options of going with Sharia compliant or Islamically compliant brokerage firms. Those usually do have higher fees because they are, more
Well, work.
There's more work involved. So they are usually more expensive than just buying an S&P 500 index fund. But for people who absolutely do not feel comfortable, that's an option.
Yeah, and it's always that risk-benefit assessment, right? And in general, one of the things we always talk about is decreasing. It's not just about how much return, but also decreasing the fees that you're paying. However, if having a Sharia compliant is going to help you sleep better at night, you're still going to build money in the long term. It may not be to the greatest degree, but you can diversify it. Like all your money doesn't have to be in the stock market. You can go do real estate and provide safe homes for humans and make great return from that. But if for you, that's keeping you up at night or that's preventing you from investing, that is of no value to the world. So go find a Sharia compliant company and they just Google that. Is that correct? They can just Google that and they'll be able to find, fantastic. Thank God for Google these days, right? Google, find that information, do something. The bottom line is, regardless of your faith or lack of faith, regardless of how busy your life is, regardless of what your values are, you being out of the game is not helpful for any human, especially if you're a woman physician. We want money in your hands and we want your family and your community to be well. So listen to all the tips that's been shared. Start from somewhere. And if anybody has questions of how they can find you, I know they can definitely find your podcast, The Wealthy Muslim Women, but how else can they find you?
I'm also on Instagram with the same account. My website is also wealthymuslimwoman.us. They could email me at saima@wealthymuslimwoman.us. There's so many ways of contacting these days, right? Like the digital age has just changed everything. So Instagram is good and anywhere is good.
Fantastic. So, guys, you all heard her. I'm going to have the link on how to contact her as well in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, go find the podcast. And if you're watching in I don't know, I may put this in a pop-up Facebook group and just do like a watch party. I think that would be so much fun. So actually,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. So you may be watching this in the watch party. You obviously will know how to find her. So any last minute tips that comes to mind that you want to share with us? This has been great, by the way. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Really just know what you value. Prioritize yourself. Always pay yourself first. Uncle Sam doesn't trust us with our money. That's why they take their taxes out before they even let us take our own money. So you need to do the same with yourself. Take money out for yourself and invest it for yourself. See what value you want your money to create for you and what you want your money to buy for you. So be intentional about it. That's the best that you can do.
Be intentional. Take care of yourself. You are your own biggest asset. Take care of
Yes.
yourself. Pay yourself first, meaning invest. Don't try to wait until you're done with all of your expenses before you invest. Invest and then spend the rest. Because trust me, whether you have $20,000 to spend, or you have $100,000 to spend, or you have $500 to spend, you're going to spend it. It's like time. We use it when we have it. So the bottom line is if you're at least doing the investment, then you know that you're taken care of and then you can spend the rest. Because people, and I'm saying people that are poor, not from a racial or sort of like racist or sexism and all this other stuff that is structural disparities that exist. But if you have two physicians earning the same income, the difference between one that may be poorer versus one that may be richer is that idea of paying yourself first, investing first, and then spending the rest. Because your kids are going to ask you for more stuff regardless of whether you have $500 or $5,000. They might as well invest and then spend the rest as opposed to spending everything and then seeing if you have stuff left to invest. That should be opposite. Let's switch it around. So
yes, I agree.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping in the car and showing us how to rock it imperfectly. That's what it's about. We are women physicians. We usually have a lot going on, but that is never an excuse for us to not prioritize ourselves and give and invest. It is doable. Just start today. So thank you guys for listening. If you're watching this, I want you to share it. The goal for this is to help women physicians be prepped. I want us to be mentally, physically, financially, and relationally well. And that's why I'm doing all those interviews. So I want you to share it wide and leave us a review. Let us know what you think on the podcast or wherever else you're listening to this. Thank you guys for listening. And thank you, Saima, for being here. I truly, truly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to bring you back on the podcast so we can have more time to chat.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Right. Take care.